live. Welcome, Johnny, and our special guest, Bry. Before we get things going, just want to introduce and quick announcement. It's Rob Provencher here from NoBS Photo Success, along with the one and only co-host, John Butler. Every week we like to put these shows on, and we talk about photography and such. For the most part, we have a special guest, and we like to poke and prod and ask questions, see where people are at, and from different parts of the world and North America, mostly talking about photography.
Oops.
I got a bad echo going on. John's excited.
It's trying to stop it here. Hold on.
So
there we go.
So before we get going and start a conversation with Bry, I want to just mention to everybody that I've had Bry on a couple of years ago, possibly 3, I can't remember when, but it wasn't that long ago. And the replay for that particular presentation is, I just put it in the forum yesterday, the NoBS Photo Success group. If you're a member of that, which is free, by the way, and I've been putting replays every day, as well as behind the scenes posts, stuff that I've collected over the last many years. I've got literally over 1,000 high quality conversations and presentations and mastermind conversations with other photographers and with myself on marketing, sales, and all things technical. So having said that, welcome, Bry. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. And you're from Salt Lake. You're from, yeah, you too, man. You look younger every time I see you. I don't know what's with that. Must be the air down there. You're down in Salt Lake City, correct?
Yeah, outside of Salt Lake, but pretty close. I'm about a half hour away from Salt Lake, out in the country.
South, east, west, north?
North.
Okay. I've been south of Salt Lake City. Price, Utah?
Oh, yeah.
You
That's
know,
beautiful.
You know, Man Tracker? The show?
Tracker.
No. Yeah, it's a Canadian show. It's a reality TV show. I was on the last chase with the original Man Tracker, Terry Grant.
Oh, that's cool.
9 years ago. It was exciting, and we went south of Salt Lake City, a couple hours south, and it was a real exciting time. We went.
Oh, that's awesome.
Way up in this plateau, and there was canyons and everything, and we got chased by.
Yeah, that's a pretty area.
It is amazing, and the whole idea behind that is it's a 36-hour chase in the wilds, and there's a man tracker, and he's a tracker, and he has a sidekick from the local area, and they try and catch you before the time's up.
Oh, that's fun.
It was exciting, man. I always found that show to be particularly exciting, and I got on with my buddy who's a firefighter. Anyway, so that's my Utah story.
I love it.
So yeah, John and I are from Ontario. We're locked down. Probably not going to get back into business until sometime in July, which is extremely frustrating. But we're just slugging through that. Haven't done a whole lot of work since probably February, March, because of all these insane lockdowns. How are things down there with you and your business, generally speaking? Before we get into some specifics.
Oh, it's been. I mean, it's how. How do you describe it? Well, let me think here. I mean, it's been bad. I'm not going to say it's been in any way good.
Mm-hmm.
I have to constantly adapt. I have to try to figure out ways to make money and make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't received any government grants or help or loans or unemployment or anything like that.
Is that because none's available, or you chose not to?
Well, I chose not to do any unemployment because I feel like I'm not unemployable.
Right. Okay.
I'm employable. It's not for the government to decide if I'm employable.
Mm-hmm.
So for that was personal, but I haven't received any grants or anything else. So it's just been a matter of, okay, what can I do to keep things going? And so one of the first things I did is I was like, okay, here's all the types of photo shoots I can do, or I used to do. I can't get these kind of groups together, but maybe I can still do these kinds of things. So I've been doing, I still get a few high school seniors that'll come in.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes individuals, babies, sometimes small families. I've had some big families that have come in that are it might get me in political trouble, but basically just people who are well known, who anyway. So they
you're self-censoring, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm self-censoring. But at the same time, the government for a long time it says you can't get these kinds of groups together or you're going to kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a lot of even like commercial headshots just keep rolling.
Right.
Keep rescheduling it, just because now things are open, except for there's still people that are in fear.
Okay.
And even if it's like a small percentage, so let's say I'm going to go do a family. If there's like one member of that family who just won't come, then the whole family shoots off.
So, okay. So you guys are now open,
We're open,
but you have to deal with that.
I have to deal with everybody's fear. Yeah, they're
Right.
like, yeah, because everyone's been told to be in fear for a year. So now
Yeah.
it's like, how do you get over that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your challenge now. So at least you're able to work. So you got to get through this second hump. And
Yeah. And I did a lot of commercial work, I think, during the heavy lockdown. As I started marketing heavy to a lot of my commercial clients and just
Nice.
saying, hey, send me products and I'll be photographing things and shipping back. And it's not as fun as people, but I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a people photographer, aren't you?
Yeah, I love, I think, connecting with people and getting them to open up and look
Yeah.
great on camera.
I'm the same way, and I believe John's the same way. Very outgoing, and
In our industry, you have to be. You have to be a people person.
unless
Yeah.
you're photographing inanimate objects. I know people that's all they want. Like I know mining
think,
photographers. That's all
I
they
know
want.
some people that are inanimate objects.
They
I
just
have
like
friends who that they love to photograph inanimate objects because they're not people,
yeah.
right? It's just a different personality type.
Yeah, it takes all kinds. I'm an extrovert, man. I got to be around people. I'm going to go
Yeah.
insane. So interesting. So you're doing your best to adapt, and this thing about fear, which I believe, or let me ask you what you feel on that. Do you believe that that's going to soften people's attitudes? Will they'll finally get over the fear? Because
I think so. I think, I mean, warm weather helps. We got warm weather now. People want to be outside, right? The government's saying they don't have to wear a mask. And so I think that definitely changes people's perspective is when you walk into a store and everyone's got a mask on, you go, oh, I should be worried about something. And
Right.
now if you walk in and no one's wearing a mask, then you're like, oh, I guess the world's kind of normal. It's like there's something psychological about that.
yeah,
And so I'm hoping that kind of thing, like I'm actually getting, it's slow, but I'm getting more people calling me for photo shoots.
okay.
They're not big ones, you know, I should be killing it this time of year right now,
Right.
but I think there are people around the country who are, and I mean, I don't know if it's anything I'm doing differently as much as it is where people are and people's mentality and philosophies.
Hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you're just rolling with it. It sounds to me like you're a little bit frustrated about all of this, and
Yeah, I'm a bit frustrated. I don't think. Yeah, I think I'm more on the side of freedom. You know, the government says here's all the things to be worried about. You guys handle it your way, as opposed to, I feel like there's been so many odd ways of saying, hey, this business should be closed, but that over there can be completely open and jam packed.
That's
And
my-
that
yeah.
restaurant could be closed, but that one over there can be packed. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, why? It doesn't make none of it makes sense.
no. That's my biggest
Let
frustration.
let us be adults. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to
They'll let
wonder.
Costco open and have hundreds of people in there.
Yeah.
But a photographer can't have a family of 5 in to do a photo shoot, even though you can social distance and
Yeah.
wear a
Yeah.
mask and whatever.
Well, here's
Yeah.
one. Here's one. My daughter's getting her first car, and she's just qualified for a loan. She's all like, so she's got her job now. So yesterday she made an appointment to go do a test drive and at the car dealer, and they
Yeah.
said, yeah, you can do a test drive. They scheduled it for today at 4, and they said you can bring one more person. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the guy's going to be in the car with her, probably going to say a mask,
Right.
and but that's pretty close. I mean, that's
Right.
legal. And when I do a family, I can be at least 20 feet apart.
Oh yeah, easily.
So it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I'm lighting from a distance. You're photographing from a distance.
So yeah, there's
And I
that.
have a pet peeve of, I see photographers trying hard to make things work, right? And they're like, hey, maybe you see somebody going, hey, I'm going to photograph from the porch or something.
Yeah.
That's like, cool, great way to get out there and try to make something happen. And then all these other photographers dogpile on them and say, how dare you?
They do?
You know, yeah, I've been seeing that. Well,
Yeah, I
not
saw
as
a lot
much
of
now,
it.
but for a lot of it for a while, I'll be like, I'm calling the news and I'm reporting you for
Jeez.
blah, blah, blah. And I think they're like lobsters, right? It's like the reason why you can put lobsters in a pail and they don't climb out is because every lobster will pull the other lobster down. And it's like, why are we trying to tear somebody down because they're out there trying to make their house payment
and do it legally,
do it legally and safely? It's like
all that shaming, that cancel culture seems to be a little bit of what you're talking about here, insofar as that social pressure and man, weird times we're living in. Weird times. So you guys in Utah, statewide lockdowns, you guys went lockdown pretty hard.
Yes.
On and off. Were you open like last fall, then they locked down again? And was it on and off, or was it consistent?
Well, it was more enforced in Salt Lake.
Really, eh?
And where I'm out in the country, I've just been doing my own thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, okay, I'm still running errands. You know, I'd run errands for people who didn't want to leave their home. I was, taking groceries to people. I was, all that kind of stuff. I've just been living life as much as I can, living out and about, and, shipping packages and picking up things and photographing what I can.
So how far are you from the bigger city of Salt Lake City?
I'm about a half hour north.
So you're pretty much way out of the city.
Yeah. So downtown was like, everybody had to, wear masks when you did anything. And
right.
Yeah. Out in the country is a little more open. People could be more free.
Are you in a separate town?
Yeah, it's a separate town.
What's it called, if you don't mind?
So most people won't know the town. it's too small, but it's probably the nearest town that would be near would be Layton, which is probably a bigger town. But yeah, my town's pretty small. Most people don't know it. We share like a zip code with 5 cities.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the idea of being in a small town, and that idea has been on my radar, especially since this whole COVID thing.
I'm in a small town now, but it's probably not as small as his.
Yeah. Well,
it's growing though. All the farmers, as they pass away, the kids sell off the land, and there's like subdivisions coming in.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
I grew up in the big city of Toronto. I'm used to big city, and then I moved here to a small town. So.
Oh yeah.
You're in farmland.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, the whole idea of being around people in a small community really sits well with me. I know people live in downtown Toronto. I can't imagine what that's like.
Oh, it's easy. I did it for 30 years.
Yeah, you try it now, stuck in a little one-bedroom condo in a high-rise during COVID, but I don't see that as being fun at all. But so I want to ask you a couple more bio questions. And then I want to ask you about your studio. I remember seeing a picture of you in front of a beautiful home. It looked like, was that your studio?
Yeah,
nice
so my
stonework?
home, it's like, people say home studio. Mine's like more studio than home. So maybe it's studio home.
It's your life.
Yeah, about 5,000 square feet. And it's more than half is my studio. And then I live, on the upper level. And so it's like my personal space is very sequestered. It's quite separated. But as far as people know when they come, it's a studio. They come in the front. It's a studio. Oh yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, man. It looks so.
When I started, I was like, hey, this is gonna be how I start, but eventually I'll get a studio in town, right? That's kind of like what you think is the dream. But more and more, I was like, no, this is perfect. See, there's my backyard. You can see that second photo, and I do a lot of portraits here. I have like my own kind of
gorgeous
gardens where there's like trees aren't all that common out here, but I've got my own little mini forest.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So I do a lot of portraits here.
I love it. So you're not moving. You're sticking around.
Yeah, I like it here.
So in normal times, which I'm sure is just around the corner, what would the activity in your life look like right now? Getting lots of people coming to your studio, or would you be doing mostly on location, or
it's
a mix?
It's a mix. It's constantly, because I'm constantly asking, right, what are they looking for? We try to design the portrait. Where's it going to go? And what's the easiest? And a lot of times, if they're local and they're around here and they don't have a spot, or maybe their yard, like if I can use their home as a background, or maybe a cabin or something where they spend time as a family, that's a great background emotionally. But a lot of times people don't have that, and they're just like, let's go to the park. I'm like, I don't want to go to the park. Let's go here. Right here at my place, I've got, set everything up, studio lighting outside, even in the trees,
sounds
photograph
great.
everybody. Yeah, let everybody go. Or I travel to them and take all my studio lighting wherever.
Yeah.
So it's easy. And I've got, we can step right in, work inside, step right out the back door,
Mm-hmm.
and do even a mix, like high school seniors. Let's, change of clothes. Let's also step outside, get a few, step back in, change clothes, step in and out, in and out.
Lots of
Just-
versatility.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of people come from the big city, or are they mostly your clients are coming from the local area, small townish, or a bit of both?
Yeah, I get a lot of people from the Salt Lake area, and even on the other side, like even the south side of Salt Lake, people will drive up.
Yeah.
And I used to get more even from Idaho that would drive down, and people that would travel, but I haven't seen as many people travel this last few years.
No. So it looks to me like you got the kind of place and the kind of brand that would attract people from far away, because it looks high end, it looks very artistic, it looks very welcoming, it looks very family oriented of sorts.
Oh, thank you. That's
You
what
know-
I've worked on, so I appreciate you
Okay,
noticing that or thinking that. That's great.
that's a pretty accurate assessment then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I think of that kind of a situation, I see the draw being pretty big, because if there's a bigger city nearby, they will drive, man, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, and then, and I advertise it as a getaway in many ways. It's like, hey, let's get away from the city, get away from the hubbub, something quiet, do your portraits, you're done. You can go out to eat, have an evening about it. And in fact, a lot of times, if people have driven an hour or something or more, I'll say at the end of the shoot, let's go ahead and go into the order room and just order and pick everything out.
You do that right away?
Yeah, if they've driven a ways. If they're not, I mean, it's nice if I can call them a little bit before they see them.
Yep.
But I love being able to do it so quickly.
Yep.
I feel like my lighting's right on the money. Everything's right on the money. I can just immediately turn the laptop on, turn the projector on, and we can start looking and choosing favorites immediately.
Right.
And while their excitement's high, and I try to do shorter photo shoots too, so I'm not wearing people out.
Uh-huh.
So their energy's still on a high, and then we go right into the order appointment, especially headshots. Headshots are always done that way.
Okay.
Maggie does that too. I think she does it right on the spot where she
Yeah.
shoots it, and then you look at. I think Tyson. I don't remember Tyson Zanner used to be part of BNI,
Yeah.
or not BNI. Sorry, NoBS. And I don't know if he still is now, but he used to do
No.
that with his high school seniors. He was shooting with a. Canon has a little attachment, I guess, where you can send Wi-Fi your files to a laptop
Okay.
somewhere. And he used to shoot it like that and into another room where his wife was. And as he's shooting, she's calling them down and
Oh,
getting them
that's slick.
with an action on them, doing them, so that when the session was over, he would send them for coffee, come back half an hour later, and they do their session right there, their ordering session.
So
Oh, yeah.
how are you downloading and or getting your stuff ready for them in anticipation of the proofing session,
So
Bry?
if it's a headshot photo shoot, then I actually just tether right into a laptop that I have on a high stand. So it's like
Yep.
right in the studio, we're shooting. I shoot 10. Let's look at them.
All right.
Did we get a winner? You want to try a couple more? Let's try a couple more. Shoot
All
10,
right.
come back to the laptop. We pick our favorites, maybe whatever, 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Close the laptop, go ring him up, and he's done.
10
Families-
shots.
Yeah, but I'll
That's
shoot them
pretty
like
good.
in sets of 10, right? I'll shoot like a couple angles, and then that's like 10-ish shots.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty good.
families, I'm not going to tether because it's just not feasible.
No.
So for families, I mean, I shoot, but at the end, I say, hey, you guys drove a while. Do you mind waiting like 10, 15 minutes? I'll download these. We'll look at them. And they go, yeah, let's just go ahead and look at them now. And I just pull the card out, put it in my laptop, load them up into Lightroom, and then just use Lightroom right then and there, put the projector on. And so I don't do any like pre-calling on those. It's more just, I say like, here's an example of the first family grouping, and then here's another family grouping, and here's another one. Out of these, what's your favorite overall look? Don't worry about
Right.
everyone's faces. I will find the best ones later. And they go, oh, I love the feel of that grouping. Great. So now we just narrow into those.
Okay.
Like, where should it go? Like, don't worry about the expressions. I'll worry about all that later. I'll pick the best. And we just immediately go into sizes and things. And I think the worst thing we can do in sales, whether you're doing an appointment after your photo shoot or even after you've called them, is to do the yes, no thing, where you go, let's go through every picture and you say yes or no, or maybe a yes, no, and you go through say 100 photos. If it's a family portrait, they're maybe ordering, say, 10 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They got like the big one. They got some of the kids, but it's like they're not ordering 100. So they're literally saying no like 90 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really bad thing to wear out all of their energy on saying no 90 times and then expecting them to pick things.
Thanks for a reminder. I need to hear that. I tend to overshoot and make it complicated.
So
So
one thing I like about
right-
Lightroom is you can actually put a clump of, say, 6 of the same image up there and say, okay, which one of these ones do you like? And let them pick
You can,
that.
yeah. And that's what I'll do. But I'll do different groupings, right? So I'll do grouping A, B, and C, and I'll say which one just feels better. And when they're like, I really like the second one, great. Now don't worry about expressions. We'll worry about that in a while, and I'll even pick it if you want. But let's worry about sizes and things, and immediately go into size and where it should hang, as opposed to yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, all the way through.
Yeah.
Then coming back through them again, and then it's too much time.
Yeah. Sounds like you're really streamlining your sales process, whether or not they're shoot and show right away or coming back.
Yeah.
I noticed on his website, too, I think you're not basically a package guy either. You're more, I guess, a la carte type of thing.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen a few people make packages work, but my issue with packages is that it limits your sale. You can't go above the highest package
Yeah.
mentally, right?
Yeah.
If you're the customer and you look at that and it's like A, B, and C, and let's say the top package is like $1,000, you're not going to buy that and start adding in $2,000 in a la carte because it just feels weird.
It feels weird.
You're like, that's unusual because most people will spend less than 1,000 because there's what's normal.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's the first thing. And the other thing is everybody always wants to change the package.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Very much so.
And so everything's very a la carte, but I give them package pricing depending on what they buy together.
Yeah, makes sense. Before I want to get back into sales, ask you a few more questions on that.
Sure.
But can I just revert to another topic just
Yeah.
quickly? It's kind of tied in with the whole COVID thing, but I don't want to talk about the COVID thing as much. I want to talk about last spring we all locked down. You guys opened up last summer?
No,
Last
it
summer,
was up
fall?
and down. So fall was still locked down. Like you couldn't have 10 people together for Christmas.
Okay.
Right. And I was like, really?
All
You
right.
can't have family together for Christmas? But
All
it
right.
was not until almost like more like a month or so ago they said you could actually have your family together in a room.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to ask, but it might be a redundant question. It sounds like you guys got it even worse insofar as the laws are concerned. We opened up last July, and we had been locked down, like lockdown. Everybody was locked down for 3 months, unless you were an essential service.
Yeah.
And then July, August, September, October, November, our studio, boom! We had the best 5 months ever.
Oh, really?
And this is what I was going to ask you, and here's my theory, and tell me what you think of this. And you may not have a lot of experience to draw from because of what's been happening in your area and all the severity of the lockdowns and all the psychological limitations with people being so scared and having their masks on. And when I see young people, which I see more and more these days, walking down the street with masks on, it breaks my heart. But that aside, my guess is that people were so cooped up for so long that they just felt they had to do something. They couldn't travel as much. We're not going to Disney. We're not going to the amusement park and all this stuff. There's no concerts. So we're going to spend money on our family and kids. And this is something of value. Family portrait. We do a lot of those themed fairy portraits.
Okay.
We do crazy amounts of those. They are big high profit drivers for us in our business. And it's a wonderful experience, especially for the little girls. So that was my theory, and that's the question I wanted to sort of put out to you. But sounds to me like you're coming up to almost a year of full, almost all-time lockdown.
Well, so I'm trying to think of how long. So you had to be an essential worker for a while, and then
Mm-hmm.
I remember trying to buy running shoes, and I couldn't even get running shoes because the running store was closed.
Right.
And it was like I'm trying to think at what point that actually opened up. But I mean, things are open, but for the longest time you could be open, but you couldn't have more than so many people in a room.
Yeah.
So a vast majority of people have just been working from home still, no matter what the industry.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got that going on too, and even last summer and fall there was limitations. Not so much the numbers in the store, but it kind of, you can go to a restaurant, wear your mask, sit down, and take your mask off.
Right.
It kind of felt half normal. I mean, none of that's happening now. Zero of that. You can't even go to a store right now. It's like all curbside.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But I want to direct that question back to you, Bry. So to put it in perspective of, I don't know how much flexibility, how much freedom you've had in order to run your business based on the idea that people are getting more family portraits. And we're going to put senior pictures in there as well, because that's an event-driven portrait. And
well, that's encouraging that you had a huge boom. And I haven't seen that boom here, but I feel like, if that's a thing,
I think it is.
I always feel like there's a personal responsibility aspect to every question, right? So my personal question to ask myself then is it something I'm not doing or something I should do to try to help that boom in my own business?
Mm-hmm.
That's something I have to think about. But
that's a good question. I'm going to hit you back up with that question. Carry on. Keep rambling.
Is there a way, and the truth is, a lot of decisions I make in business, I use the Pareto principle. Like a lot of things are evenly distributed, with a bell curve, but lots of things are distributed with the Pareto distribution.
Yeah.
And
love it.
80% of the money we make as photographers comes from 20% of our clients.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So the best thing we can usually do is try to focus not on 80% of the customers spending the least, but the 20% of the people spending the most. And trying to figure out what can I do to get them in. And maybe there's something I should be doing right now. That's a good question. I have been working on. So one thing I did do at the beginning of COVID is I had just finished a magazine portfolio of commercial work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A portfolio, your own.
My own portfolio, and it was this, self-produced little magazine that I made in short runs.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost me like $20-something per magazine.
Yeah. How many pages?
I can't remember. I mean, it's pretty thick. I could grab one, but I have to run off the camera.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll grab.
I'd love to see it.
It'll take me just a half a second.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec.
This is amazing. That reminds me of, John.
Yeah.
Remember we had Randy Sarton, who's been doing architectural photography, and he created a portfolio. Remember he did a magazine and he mailed it to architectural firms, and that got him big.
For a long time, James used to do that with his mining and stuff like that. He used to make a magazine, he said, and send it to potential clients and personally mail them with a stamp.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
There he is.
So I have a separate website for my commercial work.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So anyway, there's my magazine. This is one of my really good clients, and I have things like, see if I can show this better. Stuff I've done for the news.
Nice.
Business portraits,
nice.
Explanations, right?
Nice,
so I've got all sorts of stuff. Headshots.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Explaining how the headshot process works, how I come to them. Famous people like
Dennis Prager,
talk show host Dennis Prager.
I watch his weekly live stream every Thursday.
Oh, I know. He does such a good job, I think.
Yeah, and he's hated by so many, which I cannot understand. He's conservative, but he's like listening to a wise old grandfather.
Yeah, he's like, that's a good description. He's kind of like an old grandpa. He's super nice. I really liked working with him.
No doubt.
I just have like philanthropists from Utah that people would recognize, like governors and just lots of famous people that I've done headshots for.
Nice.
And as I flip through, there's stuff like, photographers will know Black Rapid. Like I've done a lot of work for them, and
nice.
illustrative composites.
I love my Black Rapid strap.
Product shots. And
nice.
basically,
wow.
It's like
it's like a catalog almost.
It's a catalog, but I'm trying to show, here's some categories of commercial work that your business might need. You're hiring me for headshots, but hey, what about, do you need product shots? Here's
great idea.
Awesome,
I love it. I totally love it. So what do you do with that?
So then, if I'm doing somebody's portrait, I can give this to them. Oh, there's like light paintings of vehicles. Anyway.
Nice. Wow.
So if I'm doing like this fellow's portrait for his, his business for whatever reason. I can give him this. Cost me 20 something bucks, right? But then and then mention, hey, you know what? I don't know if your business does this. Maybe you need some of this kind of photography, and it's definitely going to be better than what most people are already doing. Most people are trying to do it on their own for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it doesn't take too many of those to give out where people go, hey, can you do this? And I've actually done like somebody's family from this. They actually called me for their family portrait. And when I showed up to their home to do their portraits, this was still sitting on their coffee table.
Nice.
And I thought, that's nice. Yeah, they've been looking at it, getting ideas. And so I want to do, going back to your question, I've got one of these designed up for families. Where it shows me hanging portraits in people's homes. It shows me delivering portraits. It shows different options.
We just lost your
there we go. My camera times out after so long. But different locations, and trying to put that together, clothing options, and have that as something that I could maybe give some of my top families. And I think that could be something I could do right now.
So do you have your family one? Is it as many pages as the commercial one?
Well, I haven't printed it yet. I've just been designing it.
Okay. So how many pages do you think it'll end up with?
It's about the same so far. And I didn't even count how many pages, but yeah.
I love it. I just love this idea. So this is something you undertook during lockdown.
Well, I started the design. I actually had it all printed just before it happened.
Okay.
And so immediately then I picked 7 to 10 of my top clients, put letters in, started mailing these out.
Yeah.
And
I have a similar thing, but it's half that size. It's 5.5 inches by 8 inches. So it's 8.5 and 11 folded.
Okay.
8 pages full color printed at Vistaprint for my ferry sessions.
Oh, awesome.
So every session gets one at the end of a session, and they take it home with them. But I love that idea of what you're doing, and it's, it's obvious. I also created something similar. I also created one for weddings and pop-up weddings. But you're doing full-on size, full-on magazine size, so it's going to be a lot more impact.
Yeah, I was debating making it smaller for cost, but it's just having bigger photos, right? It's just, hey, they're big, they're crisp, they're clear.
Yeah.
They look fantastic. And
that was important to you.
Yeah, so I figured it's worth spending a little more. And it's not like it's that much. Like you only have to, you spend a few $100 to make a short run, hand them all out, change a few things, see what worked, what didn't, print a few more.
Money well spent. I love what you're doing with that. No, when you went to get the magazine, I was just telling John, Randy Sarton from Tennessee, I've known him since forever. He's down in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he just switched to architectural photography, and he did very much what you're doing. And he used it, he mailed it to architectural firms, and it, boom.
Awesome.
And he's always clear to point out and to correct you. It's not real estate photography. This is high-end architectural photography.
I love it.
And he's using them as a lead generation tool. And obviously that's what you're using these for, as gives you tons of credibility. And you're giving it to clients who are already in your sort of arena, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, they're already people I've either worked with. They're already somewhat fans, right? Because they've worked with me. And I'm just trying to get either them to recommend me or also get more business from them.
That's an amazing tool. I love it.
So yeah, but that's a good thought. If you've had a big boom, that's very encouraging, right? That means that maybe I should be doing something more to push the family portrait side of things. That's really, I think, the biggest part of my business.
I think you need to brace yourself, Bry.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to brace myself.
I think there's going to be a tsunami. Because if what I understand is correct, that you guys have been so locked down, and now that things are opening up, correct? They're opening up now?
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is there's a lot of things that have been crazy busy, like Home Depot, anything with home improvement.
Yep.
Like lumber is 4 times as much right now. And
same here.
Tell me about it. Same here.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of businesses that are killing it, like anything to do with real estate right now. Like my friends that are selling mortgages and stuff, they're all killing it this year.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, I just haven't seen it in photography yet.
I think it's coming. It's just timing. It really, I can't see it not coming, and it's just timing. And people are There's
Yeah.
obviously going to be that, because it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys were locked down for so long, so hard, it really created that psychological barrier. That'll dissolve. You know?
Probably. But I feel like there's places in the country that were more locked down, and even still.
Well, where?
I
Like, I
feel
mean,
we're kind of in the
California.
middle. Yeah, California for sure.
That was pretty hard there.
Yeah.
New York was pretty hard.
Yeah.
But I got cousins, family in Florida and in Texas. I got aunts and uncles living there. They're all like, yeah, it's all wide open now. And I know a
Yeah.
bunch of photographers down there, so things are cruising. I think there's the dam is just swollen and ready to burst for you. I can't
I
can't
just-
see it.
Was just last month I was speaking in Texas,
I saw that.
and I had a smaller class than normal because a lot of people who had signed up either whatever canceled or something. I think I can't tell if there were people who were worried about coming or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who came and the whole event, I felt had such a good positive vibe, and they were so excited to get out and do something and photograph models and have people to photograph and be at an event in live and not doing it virtually. That there was such a good feeling.
It's John Rumble.
Yeah, he's in Salt Lake City. John, show up this time.
Mr.
North of-
User, I'm in Utah.
Okay, so we got to let you go in 20 minutes because I know that we promised you'd be out of here by noon your time, which is 2 o'clock our time. So we got, according to my clock, we got 19 more minutes. John wants to ask you some technical questions,
Technical, sure.
but I just want to fire 2 quick ones before I hand the baton
Sounds
off to
good.
John. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, easy. Good and the Bad and the Ugly.
It's Cowboy.
I just heard a guy from Norway play the theme song to that on the classical guitar. It was amazing. What is your superpower?
My superpower. Wow.
Besides your
Well-
charm, good looks, and radiant personality. Besides those things.
Well, one thing I think that's helped me quite well as a portrait photographer, as someone that deals with people, is I have the ability to not lose my temper. I
Oh,
don't
you-
get right. So it's like if somebody's really upset, like I can bring them down. It's especially helpful with kids or families. There's lots of, or if somebody's upset about almost anything, I have the ability to. It doesn't affect me. I'm not.
Yeah.
It doesn't. My blood pressure doesn't jump up.
You don't get rattled.
Yeah, I stay nice and calm. And
You're Mr. Chill.
Yeah. So that's been so helpful. I did Jordan Peterson's Big 5 personality test.
So did I.
One of the things that pointed out was, all these little aspects of my personality, and one of them was that. And I thought, yeah, that's been very helpful as a photographer.
Yeah.
Because you have to show up to a wedding and not be upset and not be. In fact, I feel like it's our job as a photographer to create the right mood so that everybody mirrors us. So I have to create energy. I have to give myself energy, even if I'm tired. I have
Yeah.
to be happy and calm, even if everyone's crazy. And it brings everybody to that level.
Cool. That's a good superpower to have.
Definitely.
Especially if you're a portrait photographer, during lockdown. So
Yeah.
John wants to ask you, I don't know, John, if you have any questions regarding some of the more technical
No,
side.
well, I was looking at his website because I know he used to do a lot of celebrities, things like that. And that was one selling point I saw in one of your videos there that people are always
Yeah.
asking. Like, you shoot celebrities, so one quality you have is you're going to make just a general family down the road look as good as a celebrity type of thing with your lighting and that. So when you're going on a location shoot, say, obviously when I'm looking at your shoots, you're not just using available light, you're actually using on location stuff. What's kind of some of the stuff you would bring to one of your shoots?
What I like to bring, so I have 4 studio lights that always stay set up here in the studio.
Okay.
And then I've got 3 studio lights that I'll take with me that are mobile that I can either add to the studio if I need more. So I could go 7 in studio. But with 3 on location, I can pretty much do anything. And if I add the sun to that, that's a 4 light setup.
Light. Yep.
Almost anywhere I want to go. Whether I want to do all 4 lights or not. I mean, sometimes it's just 1 light in the sun or something.
Yeah.
But it gives me that ability to just open my case and start setting up gear and create any lighting I want anywhere.
Yep.
So, yeah, the whole idea of celebrities is sometimes, like, I'm hired to photograph them and they're backstage and they give me like minutes. You have to create a great portrait of this person and then we're pulling them away. and they got to go do whatever. And they got this handler that's constantly just ready to yank them away.
Right.
And so I have to create something awesome, amazing, but it's also technical, it's emotional, and I have to do it in minutes. And that's same philosophy, I think, has helped a lot with, say, families. You have to create something great while the kids are happy. You kind of get the plate spinning, you get everybody great, photograph them. But then instead of saying it's a 2-hour shoot, or if you buy this package and you're getting this many hours, I think we shouldn't charge by the hour. It's charged by that skill level. Right? It's like your dentist, and you say, hey, I got to get this tooth pulled. He's like, well, I could do it in 2 hours, or I could do it in 3 hours. Or like, what package do you want? It's like, I don't want it. It's painful. It's painful. Why should it take 3 hours? Like, just make it quick. And that's how people feel about portraits. It's like going to the dentist. Like, it's painful for them. Make it easy, make it quick. It's not about the time, it's about the quality.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I agree. I do, because I know here in my location, that's what it is. It's like, here's how much it is, and you're getting an hour shoot, and you're getting 25 images or something like that on a disc somewhere. And those shirt burners, as they call them.
Right. And it's like, but if you can do it in 20 minutes, what are you going to do for 40?
Exactly.
Now you
I always say on my shoots that it's up to an hour sometimes, because you never know. You work at that kid's pace, and it's like, that kid's going to be done in 20 minutes. If we only get 20 minutes to a half an hour to shoot you, you're not getting any money back, because you're not paying me for my time. You're paying me for my expertise.
Yeah, good.
So are you using the Godox system? I thought I noticed on your camera.
No, Profoto.
Okay.
So I've got the Ds for in studio, the plugins, right, the AC. And then for location, I've got a B1X as my main, and then I've got a couple of the B10s as additional. So I can either just use one B10 for lightweight, or I can use the B10s as edge lights and the B1X as a main.
High speed sync, radio transmitter, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah, so you could do anything you want with them.
Yeah.
And they're powerful, and they're small, lightweight, really consistent, awesome color, everything. Just,
Nice. I meant to ask you where you got your catalogs printed, if I can go back to that.
Oh, those I did it with Graphy. Graphy Studio in Italy.
Yeah. They do the albums. So
Yes.
you're literally almost like printing.
Yeah, so they are. They're printed. Though I did see White House was doing magazines now. So
And I
that's
think Bay
another
Photo
option.
does it too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I do think there's some other options now.
Now, do you design those pages yourself, or did you
Completely
get a
lay it all
template or
out.
anything?
No template. I'm kind of usually anti-template, because I feel like I have to match my design to somebody's idea. Though I do think templates can be good, but for the most part, it's usually easier if I just start from scratch. And it's a creative process.
Photoshop or something like that?
Lay it out completely scratch.
Nice.
And then I just keep working through it, and I don't look at it for a while, come back,
Nice.
look at it. It's like editing a book,
It's a process, yeah.
Yeah, and then when I love everything and nothing changes, it's ready to print.
I love it.
Awesome. I do.
So let's go back to sales before we got to let you go.
Sure.
What are you? Okay, two things I want to ask you. Like, what would you tell your 24-year-old self, or what would you tell that up-and-coming photographer who's really wants to get good and profitable? And I always feel being profitable is an important element in the big picture. And I'm going to run that up against vis-a-vis the sales objections. Do you hear typical sales objections, and what do you do about them? Or are you sort of operating in a bit of a vacuum where you've created a scenario?
I get them all. I get all the same sales objections as everybody.
Right.
And one of the things I did for a very long time when I was speaking around the country is I would poll the photographers, especially like in a week long where you're spending a whole week with somebody. I'd say, what's one thing, I did ask the same question. What's the one thing, if you could go back and tell yourself something when you were young as a photographer starting out, what would you tell yourself? And the number one thing everybody always said is, I would be more profitable sooner. And so I always think that's a great advice to it's one thing that we tell ourselves. I think it's great advice to any young photographer is to get more business training. And the best thing you can do for that is just lots of business books and just make that your common habit. Is I'm going to just start reading books on money and business and pricing and marketing and sales every month. Here's a stack, and I'm just going to work my way through it.
That's good advice.
Yep.
What about the photographer who's a bit of a curmudgeon? You're like Mr. Chill. You're pretty happy. The one who tends to boop. And
So-
I would tell him, look, get another profession.
In some way. So you can push your personality to a point, right? Like I can make myself be, step out of my personality, but only to a point. The further you push, the more it's diminishing returns. It's more and more energy to push against.
Yeah.
And so sometimes photography is such a big world. It's like maybe portraits aren't for you. Maybe there's some other aspect of photography that's just going to be way more fun. Maybe you just want to go shoot sports at a game or something and be removed from people, or be a pet photographer. That's a big one for people. They love pet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could be a commercial photographer. I mean, you could shoot on Hollywood movie sets or something, and there's so many things you can do.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a family and kids photographer if you don't like people.
Yeah. Although I couldn't see any other style of photography, but I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah, for me, I love this. Yeah, me too.
Getting around people and little kids especially. I just have a hoot
Yeah.
with them. So.
Well, I
Me
got rid of
too.
newborns out of mine because I just didn't have the
Well,
patience for it
newborns, yeah,
anymore.
they don't count. They don't count. I'm not a
Another whole
fan.
entity.
Not a fan of newborns. So.
Yeah, and on your second part of that question, which was what do you do about handling concerns? I step through the same process, and it's no matter what the answer is, you have to step through the thing, which is, hear them out, kind of get them to restate it, figure out what they're really saying. If they say price, it's not always price. It could be, I just wasn't expecting to pay that much, but I totally can afford it. Or maybe I can afford it if we break it into 2 payments this month or something. Yeah. Or maybe it says, I just can't afford it, so I need another option. But it could be a lot. When we hear price, a lot of times we think, oh, they can't afford it, we're too expensive. And we immediately have to kind of step through, get them to talk, ask them more questions, get them to kind of restate it better, and when we feel like we've restated it better, then use like feel, felt, found to try to answer that question in a better way. And immediately, even if we say the wrong thing in our answer, by even stepping through that process, our answer shows more empathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's priority too, because I find there's people here that can afford it, but maybe photography is not a priority to them. They like their cars. They're more of a possession person. They like their cars, their houses. They've got all these possessions that cost way more than all of my stuff together. But when you say the price, they're like, oh, I can't afford that. I thought it would be less than that. Well, they can afford it. You're just not a priority to them.
Right. And then, and figuring out, so if their personality is on things and, let's talk about the workmanship of my albums and connect with them. Because a lot of times the easiest thing to say is, well, compared to what? You're expensive. Well, compared to what? Well, compared to the last photographer. But I look around and they got, 3 sports cars out front.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That are $100,000. It's like, they can afford it.
Yeah.
So let me show you why I'm different. And if you appreciate workmanship in a vehicle, let's talk about the workmanship of my albums, right? Or if they appreciate the emotional aspect of something, let's talk about the emotional aspect of my portraits.
Good one.
Try to connect.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I think people constantly need to be educated, especially nowadays, like having multiple studios in the city. That's gone down in all cities in North America. There's just way less than what there used to be, probably 90% less. And I don't know if you notice this too. Like I'll shoot a family and a 10 or 11-year-old will go, what are we doing? We're doing a family portrait. What? Why don't we just use a cell phone? I've had kids say that. And it's like, okay, this is not a thing that they grew up with culturally, historically or whatnot. And even a lot of adults, they're just petrified of having their pictures taken because everything they've had done was crap. And it's an extra barrier. So what you're saying is really, to me, you're saying educating them and connecting with them and communicating and really being aware of that and talking to them at their level, directly or indirectly. So
I think all marketing is education.
Good one. I'm going to put that on my T-shirt.
All. I like trademark Bry Cox.
All marketing is education.
I'm explaining something, right? I'm literally educating them as to why this is better. Now they can look at it and they say, "Oh, that's better," but they don't know why it's better. I have to explain it. When I show them a portrait, I say this every single time I start a sales appointment. I say, "Just so you know, these images are unretouched. I don't retouch anything until you order it. At which point, everything you get delivered will be ordered or be retouched. But everything you see on the screen will look better unretouched than everybody else's images out there retouched."
Nice.
And I make that point, and I go, oh, and I go, yeah, because of the way I've lit you,
Yeah.
because of all of the technical stuff I did,
Yep.
they're going to look so good on the screen. They're going to look done, but they're not.
Yeah.
And like, so
and-
we will still fix things. I'm letting them know we'll still fix things.
And they're listening to you when you're saying all this stuff. So,
Yeah, and it starts to seep in, and then we talk about
yeah.
lighting and the details, and it's different. They get it.
So we're going to let you go now. Last question
Sure.
from John to Bry. Do you have a question? Last one goes to John.
I was
Big
actually
one.
thinking there. I was actually listening.
While you're
There was
thinking,
something in my go ahead, because there was something in my mind and it just went right out.
I just want to say
yeah.
we're going to let you go in about 4 minutes and I appreciate you coming on board and sharing this with us. And I'd like to keep in touch with you and find out in 6
For sure.
months
I love free flow conversations. I think this is really good, and I appreciate you guys doing this format. I think it's good.
Yeah, we've been doing them every.
Long
Yeah.
form free flow is great.
Yeah, and yeah, I love it too. And
Try and do it every Wednesday, so.
I'm glad you're a fan of marketing. I'm glad you're a fan of Jordan Peterson. He's one of my absolute favorites.
Me too.
You mentioned him. So, John, do you have a question for Bry before we let him go?
Question. I guess you can say that, but maybe since he's leaving, he can give everybody a last word on with this whole COVID situation. You know, everybody's stressed. How they're going to reopen their business? How they're going to get the clients coming back? Everybody's going to be throwing discounts at everybody. Give us some last high words that you can give any photographer out there of how to do it properly so that they're still going to make money out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be different for everybody, right? Not just because we're all different types of photographers. We all live in different parts of the country, and there's different levels of sensibility. And maybe the type of town you live in, people are more worried or less worried. So it's like, what can I tell everybody?
It's hard to generalize it, I know, but sometimes
so
there's
one
key
thing-
factors that people can take out in their own way.
For sure. So one thing is, you can only control what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And don't focus on all the stuff you can't control. Focus in on what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to adapt to different customers. So if I have a customer who's more worried, then I'm like, okay, great. Here's how we'll handle it. How about we give each other space and blah, blah, blah. But just know I can't connect with a mask on. So how about, I don't wear a mask when I'm this far away. How's that? And they're like, okay, that's great. And so we work through those kind of little details.
Yep.
Or if they're like, I'm not worried at all. I'm like, great, okay, because I'm not either. Let's just have a great time. As far as discounts, I think one thing you can discount that doesn't affect you as much, and it's actually it's the hurdle. It's the hurdle to the photo shoot, and that's the session fee.
Yeah.
Instead of saying 20% off everything, because the problem with that is the more they order, the more it's discounted still.
Yeah.
All the way across. Maybe eliminate the hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one thing I've been trying to do is say, I'm still going to charge a session fee, but I'm just going to apply it to a wall portrait if you get a wall portrait.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's say it's $400. Let's charge you the $400. That reserves your day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get some kind of wall portrait, then we'll apply it to that or something. Right. So in other words,
Yeah.
it's a free session.
Yep. Yep.
A lot of times that first initial discount is all they need to get into the door, and then they'll buy the albums and everything else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing you can do is maybe if you're going to do a discount, I'd say discount the session, or maybe maybe it's an upgrade. Like if you buy the basic session, but you get the next one up or something. You buy the middle, you get the higher one, right?
Yep.
So you're discounting the session as opposed to everything across the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's good strategy. All right. Well, we'll let you go. We got 1 minute left, so appreciate you coming on board. And love to hear. I want to hear in a couple of months how bad this tsunami of sessions and.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope that comes, and I'm excited that you had that. I think that's awesome. Did you get the same, John? Did you get a big tsunami, or is it just Rob that got it?
Probably just Rob. I was okay. Like I'm still getting people. Like I do passport photos in here as a sort of a second income because I don't make killing, but people need
Right.
passports. So I have the setting and I have the printer. Let's do it. And I do a lot of headshots and corporate stuff. And I've been getting them calling me constantly wanting to do it, and I can't. I can't do the stuff. So I know once we open back up they're saying possibly maybe mid-July is when we can actually open up to that kind of stuff. I will get a tsunami, I think, of my corporate work and things like that. I think we
good.
will. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
I think it is, and I think Rob and I have been talking in the future of possibly turning some of these into like behind the scenes type shooting type of stuff,
Yeah.
if we can make it work, and maybe we'll get you back for one of
Oh,
those, or
how
we
would
can
you do
actually
that?
get you doing a shoot for us, and we can watch it. And
We shall talk.
That'd be cool. Well,
right.
I really appreciate you guys having me, and I hope this
Thank you.
information's helpful for people.
We'll see you around. I'll be in touch. And John and I were going to keep talking for whoever's in the room with us, so we're going to chat a little bit more. But Bry, I know you got to go. And again, much appreciate you
Yep,
coming.
I have an appointment to head out to, so I appreciate you
Okay.
fitting me in today. Thanks
Yeah,
so much,
thank
you guys.
you for taking the time.
We'll talk later.
All righty.
Take care.
See ya.
Thanks now. There we go.
Wow, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. I like.
Well, they're always
I like,
good ones. I mean,
Yeah, they're true. Some are better than others.
of course, John loves us. He comes every week when he can. He was late today, though.
John, you got to get a life. I mean, really. To hell, what are you doing spending time listening to a bunch of nutbars like us?
Exactly.
I'm joking. No, I appreciate it.
Like, there is
And-
so much more we could talk to him about, but like, we knew he's on a schedule, and we're on a schedule too, because we try and keep these between
Yeah.
an hour and a half. So I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's true, and
and tell
Yeah.
people, like, they have to go to your one you posted yesterday, your old webinar with them, because there was a lot of good. I saw the first 10 minutes. I have to go watch the rest of it. In that first 10, 15 minutes, there was lots of good information. So
yeah, and I think it was heavily to do with lighting.
yes,
So yeah, if you're watching this, John's talking about the replay. I had Brian a couple of years ago. We did I believe it was a lighting mastermind, and that replay just got posted in the NoBS Photo Success Facebook group. And as many other replays that I keep posting every day. I got so many to put in there. So John, yeah, hopefully sooner than later, insofar as our ability to go back to work is concerned. I mean, all this insanity with you can photograph up to 4 people, which is a total of 5. I mean, I find that's crazy. Hopefully they kind of come to their senses a little earlier and say, you know what, go for it. So
I kind of snuck 2 of more of us in there the other day, like I said to you before
Yeah.
the show. I had a real estate agent here who incorporates a family portrait with a lot of the houses that they sell. Where
Yeah.
they can get an actual family portrait in front of their old house before they move out. And when I got there, technically it's supposed to be me plus 4. And there was me and the real estate agent. Well, there's 2 right there, and then the family was a family of 5. So we had 7 altogether. But I did it. I'll probably get in trouble if I get caught, but I don't.
Yeah,
what are they
I
gonna
don't
do,
think
slap me in the wrist.
I don't think they're going to do much of anything.
No, we social distance, and if I had my mask, if I had to get any closer
No.
to them, and no hugging or anything, it was all fist bumps, so we were good.
I was talking to a photographer who knows the chief of police in their area, and over coffee one day, that particular police chief was saying that there's nobody getting tickets.
No.
So
Well, it's funny, when they first started this, I had somebody from our local MP, Cheryl Gallant, her office called me for a passport photo. And
yeah,
I'm thinking either they're checking up on me or they're just not very bright.
yeah,
Because it's their government that did the lockdown and said we can't work, so...
yeah. So we're patiently awaiting, and have to wait and see what happens. So, anything else that is a new and exciting, either equipment-wise or otherwise, in your studio?
No, not I'm trying to think of what Brian's saying here. Damn retired guys. I
He's
don't
talking
know
about
if
John. John's retired now. Congratulations, John.
Yeah, congrats. He was asking me what kind of printer too. John wasn't a thing I use for my passports, and I was telling him it's that DNP. I think it's called an A620 or something like that, or 620A, or
Dye sublimation printer
the dye sublimation. It prints
prints
in 10
up to
seconds.
4x6s.
This one goes up to 5x7s if you get the paper. I bought the 4x6 paper, but you can get it
Right.
5x7 too, and then you can get the next one up. I think Warren has it. It's the 820, and you can do up to 8x12s.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I haven't had any use for it. But that's what I use. But no, I hear it. Like I said, I'm just been now starting to do more realty listings to help keep some money coming in, and I'm starting to put together. I actually had a meeting since the last time we talked. Actually, I had a meeting last week. I think it was with one of the local fitness places here that sells orthopedic shoes. Now it's actually a chiropractor's office, but they also have like a gym in the back, and told them about my new turntable there from my 360 product shots, and showed him some samples with my dirty old running shoe I did. And he told me to definitely he's going to keep it in mind, because he's definitely interested, because they've taken all their retail stuff out of their front of the building since they can't have people in there and moved it online. So of course this is perfect for him. He can put his stuff online and do it. So he's definitely thinking about it, and I got some
Nice.
other ones in there. So
Nice.
that's mostly what I'm going to be pushing when we get back up is family portraits too. I might do some sort of a family special. I'm even thinking since we're allowed to do the outdoor stuff, why not set up a little tent outside of my studio here on that little porch there and call it Passports on the Porch and do a whole day or two of just passport photos. With
I think you should do it.
with my Godox.
I think you should do it. I think you should do that and do it appointment-wise and see if you can get at least 7 or 8 appointments minimum
Yeah.
before
I
you
can get a
actually
lot.
commit.
I've got
But
tons of people that have been calling me. I get at least 1 to 2 every 2 days.
Why
calling
don't
me
you
saying,
do
"Can I
it? Why don't you
passport?"
set it? Why don't you announce it? See if you can get some And I think you should charge. How much you charge for a passport?
$15 flat.
I think you should charge minimum $30. 15's way too cheap.
Well, everybody else is charging 20 in this area plus tax.
Doesn't matter.
So it
Yours
comes
are
like
better.
24. Oh, I
Yours
know.
are. I mean,
I just
no
do right on
one's
the
doing
side
them, right?
income.
If you're going to set up a tent and get all that, go through all those hassles, and the guy a man or a woman, whomever needs a passport, it's only $30. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you should do it. I think you should do it. I think you should do it in June, in 2 weeks
Yep.
from now. Passports
I might
on the
even do it
porch.
before that. I might even do it next week. But yeah, I've got that little porch there, and I can set the tent up so that it blocks the light out, and then I can just have my white backdrop behind them. Or I have like the portable 5x7 ones. I can stick that up and have my Godox, just one on the background and one on the people just on top. And just boom, it's just passport. They don't want a professional shot. The passport people, all they want is a mug shot.
It's got to be clear. It's got to be lit a certain way and pose a certain way, right?
Yeah, it's got to be just no red eyes. It's just a basic deer caught in the headlights look. So it's not going to be a professional shot.
What about what John's asking? He wants to know, what is a digital passport photo?
A digital passport? I don't know because I don't get very many people that want a digital one. They need the 2 prints that they can stamp on the back and take to the thing.
Yeah. So
now,
maybe
I also do other stuff too, like firearms license. I do what do they call it? Permanent residency cards. I've even had people come for a U.S. one or a English passport, and as long as they bring me dimensions, I just can do it, and I'll print it off for them. So I don't turn them away, and we're cheaper than everybody else in town when it comes to passports. I know for my normal work I don't charge like that, but for passports it's just a passive. They're in and out in 5-10 minutes, and they take their passport with them. So I don't have to charge a lot, and I can do about 3 or 4 a day and make an extra $60-$70 or whatever.
bonus.
Why not? So
Cool. All right.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, I want to hear more about your passports on the porch. I think it's time to wrap it up and get going. Although I got nothing going on. I got some buddies I got to go see and shoot the breeze, and then I got Tina and I got an appointment in 2 hours with the bank lady, a Zoom type meeting. So
The firearms can be done online. Probably requests are coming in. Yeah, some can, but not all of them. Some want the actual physical one, though. But I've had some people that just want it shot and then just have you email them a certain dimension. It's got to be no more than so many pixels or something. So I
Right.
just in Photoshop make it that way, send it to them, and they call me back or they write me back saying thanks, perfect, and I never hear back from them. So they must have went through okay.
yeah,
But very rarely do you want that. They usually want the physical one.
yeah.
So nope, sounds good.
Okay. All right.
So I think next week you probably got somebody lined up too, eh?
I forget who, but we got somebody lined up.
Awesome. I think the next 3 weeks we do. So
We got people lined
keep
up,
coming
yeah.
back every week because we're gonna have more people lined up. I know we've got a couple lined up for the next 3 weeks. So
And looking forward to it. So thanks a lot, Johnny.
thank you, sir.
We will see everybody later.
Yep. Just looking for our video. Here we go. See ya.